Hi crafters! I've got an aluminum can here and I'm going to show you my method for cutting these out to make these wonderful aluminum blanks that can be used for a variety of crafts. And this is going to be the first in a 4-part series. 1, I'm going to show you how to cut out these aluminum cans. 2, I'm going to show you how to cut shapes in your Cricut with these blanks. The 3rd video is going to be how you can actually use your die cutting machine to also cut them, but you can also, with that machine, emboss the aluminum. And then the 4th video is going to be applying stains or paints or waxes and how you can color the aluminum. So I'm going to set this aside and we'll get started here on the first step, which is cutting out the aluminum can. So any aluminum can, beer can, soda can, they'll all do. And I don't normally file off the label. I just didn't know if it was appropriate to have a label on here as I filmed this, so I took it off. But I don't do that for the rest of them. I just use the back side. So the back side of all of these blanks have the label on them. So I have here on my workspace a towel. And I have this towel down because I do rinse out the cans, but you know how that goes. Sometimes you just have a little residual liquid, and if there's a couple drops of water in there, I just want to collect it. And that'll happen when I cut the first part of the can off. If there's any water in there, it'll drip out. Secondly, though, I do have paper towels on the surface, and the paper towels are here for a different reason. When I'm cutting this can, if I create any small metal fragments, I want those to fall down onto this work surface and stick to it. I don't want them bouncing around or getting penetrated into the towel. So this will pick up those little metal bits. Now, I do recommend you wear gloves. I'm not wearing gloves because I've been cutting a lot of these out. I'm pretty confident in my ability and hopefully I won't cut myself. But I do recommend you wear gloves. I also recommend that you wear safety glasses if you don't wear glasses, because getting a little metal bit in your eye is not going to be fun. It could be dangerous and it certainly can ruin your day. So just don't do it. Just wear something to protect your eyes and preferably something to protect your hands as well. If not, be very careful and work slowly. Slowly helps. Next, I have an exacto blade, and that is the first tool I start with. I take the exacto blade and I just come right under the top of this ridge. Now, I don't want to be right on the bend because it's hard to cut right there, but just past it, I just take my blade and it just goes right into the can. Just a little pressure, it cuts down just like butter. And then I used to make a little start here and then try and get my scissors in and try and cut the top off with the scissors. But I just found that the very first cut, if you cut it almost all the way around with your exacto blade, goes so much easier. So I just give it a little press and you can see how neat and easily it goes through. I do try to work a little on the slow side so I'm not creating little sideways cuts here and there that create those metal bits. So just try to work it through slowly. And kind of keep it back in its little space here too. And as you get around to the end here, it'll start to get a little wrinklier, and that's when I bring in the scissors. But at that point, it's so much easier to get the scissors in there. So I can actually bring this quite a ways around, where I have just a little tiny bit that I cut off with the scissors. Okay, so now I'm done with my exacto blade. We'll put that away. Now, I realize you can collect the bottle top and use that in a project. You may or may not have something you can do with the rest of this. I don't particularly use it for anything, so I'm just going to toss it. But I do recycle the remaining aluminum. And I'm just going to come in here and just cut that little bit out. So, mind you, you can make these little sharp bits, so you do want to be careful of those. Next, I'm going to just take my scissors and come down the side and cut a nice straight cut. Okay, now these are old scissors. Now this cracks me up. I have written in Sharpie here, fabric only. Did my family pay attention to that? No. So my scissors got completely thrashed. So I do have a new pair of fabric shears, but these are great now for cutting things like old aluminum cans. So hopefully you've got a kind of a cruddy old pair that you can do this with. Now, when you get around after you've made your straight line cut, this is where it can get a little sharp and you need to just be careful. But just carefully put your hands in here and hold it. Get yourself a little cut. And then just continue cutting that other side. Again, there are projects to use for these bottoms or the tops or the pop tops. So if you have some ideas to use those or want to save them for a project, by all means do so. Now, as I'm cutting around, I'm just very carefully placing my hand in here. I'm sort of opening this up a little bit with my fingers because it just made for an easier method of getting the shears in here. And just continue to just cut that all the way around. Okay, so I'll get rid of that. Be careful again with all these edges. I wouldn't recommend that children do this unsupervised. Now, this can's got a little roll to it, and I want to fix that. So there's a couple ways you can do that. You can take this, if you have just an old table, which I don't have to work on, but if you do, you can just take this and like rub it over the edge of that table a little bit firmly, and just be careful again holding those edges, and it'll smooth that out. I have a rolling pin, and this is actually for fondant. I pulled it out of my Wilton kit. Now I just roll this over the edge, bring it down and around, and then I just bring it to the end and I give it some little firm bit of roll. Let that unwind, and then just do that on the other side, and that really gets all the kinks out. Just roll it out there. Now you can also take the smooth edge of it if you wanted to go along the edges, smooth out any little ripples. You know, as you're cutting, you might make a few ripples here. You can do that. Again, I'm not that particular about it. It's going to cut just fine on the Cricut. You can also take this and go kind of sideways back and forth if you feel the need. And that just smooths it way down. And look at how wonderful that'll be. And actually, this would be the label side that I wouldn't use, but I would certainly be using this interior side. So there you have it. That's how I like to prepare these aluminum blanks. So I can then move on and use these for cutouts and for letters and make some really fun projects with them.